This story starts with one question. Why is there so much misleading information about electric vehicles? Actually, deeper, why is there so much misleading information, period? Keep a second search window open as we go through the material. Use Google Lens on the images to find the story behind them. That's your trusted path to sources. Like and subscribe to join the conversation so we can talk about this. These videos link together, powered by your comments. Let's dive in. Electric vehicle technology began in the early 1800s. The vehicle on the left is from the mid to late 1800s. Vehicles like it were destroyed by people who feared losing railroad jobs. Fear thwarted innovation. By 1897, electric taxis ran on the streets of London and New York. A battery swap only took about 10 minutes. Innovation creates efficiency. Technologies converge, creating even greater efficiencies. The telephone arrives in 1876. Now you can call that cab. Imagine the noise and chaos in the image at the upper right. Who invented the stoplight and the automated street sweeper? Well, think about it. How come you've never heard of these people? Lower right, both public and private money built the infrastructure. Question: how many of you know what really goes into making the infrastructure work? The first lead-acid cell was in 1800. The first rechargeable battery, 1859. Every advance since widened the use case for the battery. Increased capacity, faster charging speed, better safety, and environmental protection and recycling. Edison wired J.P. Morgan's home for electric light in 1882. By 1900, John D. Rockefeller controlled 90% of U.S. oil production. Vanderbilt built railroads, shipping, generational real estate. Now think of all the land under all those tracks and stations. How did he get it? Carnegie Steel outproduced all of Great Britain. In 1902, J.P. Morgan bought Carnegie Steel. Steel means rails for the railroad, factories, and now cars. Infrastructure. Hearst, Pulitzer, and Scripps controlled the media. Now quick, who was the president? Now, who was actually in power? When your information is controlled, what happens to your dreams? Now fact check that. Please learn to read between the lines. 1884 looked a lot like the fictional 1984. Books were banned, books were burned, and the facts became whatever certain people said they were. Run Google Lens on the images on the screen and take a long, deep think. In the early 1900s, about 30% of vehicles on the road were electric. Why? Well, gas cars were loud, smelly, and had to be started with a hand crank. Who controlled the gas? Many drivers were well-to-do urban women charging at home in houses newly wired for electricity. Electrics were more convenient and reliable than gas. Just like today, the facts shifted with the interest of whoever told the story. Think quality of life. And who could afford the truth? Follow the money. Oh, and what was Nikola Tesla up to right about now? We're seeing life and technology through competing lenses. Clara Ford drove a Detroit Electric from 1908 well into the 1930s. She preferred it to her husband's Model T. Imagine those conversations around the old dinner table. Helen Taft drove a Baker Electric, the same car that served the Wilson, Harding, and Coolidge First Ladies. The Secret Service drove electric. Quiet reliability. Now, the Model T arrived in 1908 at about $850. It was known as the car for the people. Within 2 years, the price dropped to around $650. and manufacturing became known as the jobs for the people. But remember the Rockefeller image? Same playbook with Ford. Trucks mattered at this time. Things were being built. A 10-minute battery swap kept trucks on the road 24/7. Clean, quiet, reliable, cost-effective. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Wouldn't you agree that learning is how we evolve? And underscore we. Bertha Benz introduced her husband's car. Clara Ford drove electric and influenced her friends. Henry Ford teamed with Thomas Edison to explore electrics. So who controlled energy and information? Here's the story. A Detroit motorist stalled on the road. A friend of Cadillac founder Henry Leland stopped to help her. The car backfired when he cranked it, inflicting bodily injury on Mr. Leland's friend. And to make a long story shorter, the dude died. Now this upset Mr. Leland. He brought in Charles Kettering, who delivered a 3-part fix. Part 1, a small electric motor to crank the internal combustion engine, soon to be known as the electric starter. Part 2, a battery to power the small electric motor, which was soon to become the electric starter. And Part 3, a generator to charge the battery which powered the small electric motor, now known as the electric starter. But they overlooked or were influenced by one small thing, an electromechanical exigency. Now, wouldn't it be more efficient to let the electric motor drive the wheels? But what would Rockefeller say? I mean, he controlled the gas, which the car would no longer require if it was an electric. So this is what happened next. In 1912, the car that has no crank presented electrification of the internal combustion engine as mobility for far more people. This technological first now signaled innovation in a whole new light, and other brands copied fast. Kettering's starter removed one of the biggest obstacles to adoption of gas, the crank. Now, why did the lesser solution win when efficiency drives social structure? When the speed at which goods and services move is the speed of life. Who controlled that slice of the energy economy? John D. Rockefeller. Now, here's the thing. The greatest thinkers and inventors of the day were largely self-educated. So why aren't people educated according to ability, on a level field, in the interest of all? Which is more important, how to think, or is it more important what they thought? More on that later. History reveals the facts that are the objectives of those in power. Let these images move beyond entertainment to draw an analogy to today. What is the movement of thought? Notice the communication technology and infrastructure. Notice the filling station. Who built it? Why? New oil reserves in Texas shifted the balance of power inside the United States. The law was used to keep any one entity from amassing dangerous power. Gasoline infrastructure grew to meet the demand that Ford created by cutting prices and Kettering created with the electric starter. The U.S. soon entered World War I in 1917. Who went and why? Human resources squandered, though back then they were simply called personnel, and some weren't even counted as that. Where did thought rank as a source of energy? Let's look back to look ahead. The agricultural economy is becoming an urban economy, and the automobile sits at the heart of it. 1918 to 1930, post-World War I? What values were competing? And where did these values come from? Where's the balance between the common good and the gain of the few? Or were the masses lulled into complacency by the good times of the Roaring '20s? Cheap Texas oil? Mass-produced cars? What happens when balance is lost? What happens when understanding is lost? A new technology disrupts the status quo. Electric vehicle technology simply didn't advance as fast as the internal combustion engine technology. Why? Were energy and thought controlled by the same small group? When the crash hit, there were winners and there were losers. Who and why? Now, this is a suggestion to read between the lines. Use your keywords in case you haven't been doing additional research. Take a quick screenshot, take a quick photo of the screen. Please go back and look at these stories behind the story, because they will affect your thinking today. This video began as a search for the why. So what have we found? A story that can't be ignored? A point is coming when the outcomes are inescapable. Ignorance won't serve us. A lack of equitable social value won't serve us, because this story is about us. Every viewer takes away something, but we all take away something a little bit different. So we need to put it together. Your comments will move us forward. You matter. We all matter. Please share. Please subscribe. And join us for episode 2 of The Electric Future. Thank you.